This is a creative pursuit, having a business and doing things that fulfill me creatively and speak to my whole overall story. Those things are what makes this a business worth doing and one that's going to engage with the community. My name is Joseph Livewell. I was born and raised in the Fishtown section of Philadelphia about 30-something years ago. The River Wards are a group of neighborhoods that are located in Philadelphia along the Delaware River. Kennington, Fishtown, Bridesburg, and Port Richmond. So Port Richmond, through the early 1900s, they needed a place to shop, so Richmond Street was one of those corridors. You had a very eccentric grouping of businesses that were there to serve the needs and wants of the community. 70, 80 businesses at one time. Really, anything you could need at that time was for sale on Richmond Street. That lasted for 50+ years up into the mid-1900s. And then I-95 came along and a lot of that changed. Over time, with people maybe leaving the neighborhood or getting elderly and not passing their businesses down to their younger generation, you just saw closures of businesses for decades. Richmond Street, I think, is largely still vacant, with a few businesses that remain from the old days. I think we're down to maybe one or two. Hopefully we get back to the former glory that was Richmond Street of the 1900s. Revitalization is more possible now than it's ever been. More recently, the River Wards themselves are becoming more popular due to their proximity to Center City. They're improving I-95 and therefore also improving Richmond Street. And upwards of $30+ million being invested in the bones, if you will, of Richmond Street, with new sewer, new water, new gas, new electric. And with the new paving and new lighting, the corridor is going to look better than it's ever looked. It was in early 2016 that things became much more realistic. Paint was on the walls, our logo was emblazoned on the front window in gold by a legendary sign painter of Philadelphia, Gibbs Connors. He did our signage. I thought it was really important to have some provenance to the signage on the front window. So I had a friend help me out with the logo. His name is McDonald Whalen. Did a great job as a graphic designer coming up with an icon, which we used the trolley. Richmond Street, where we're located, lost their trolley about 8 to 10 years ago, and they're bringing it back within the next 3 years. We needed to have a concept of what the space was going to look like. I drew upon experiences I had not only in other Philadelphia cafes but other coffee shops around the country that I had visited. So things that interested me as far as like brick and natural wood and lights and darks and things like that, and modern light fixtures, and industrial feel. I had to set a date to open, and our address is 3118 Richmond Street. It's also the same 4 numbers in a box of my father's badge number as a police officer. I put 3118 in our phone number, which was awesome to do as well. March is the 3rd month. I was like, let's do it March 11th at 8 a.m. and we'll have everything full circle, 3/11 at 8. Port Richmond, in many senses, is a bit bifurcated. You have, on one end, small businesses like River Wards Cafe here, trying to just serve a small need of the community. At some point in the 80s and 90s, Aramingo Avenue nearby was going the other direction. Many stores that are trying to serve the needs of thousands. Aramingo Avenue, which was once the outskirts of the city, there was a creek running down the center of it. There was bridges over the creek. It all got covered over and became Aramingo Avenue only 100 years or so ago. And it has this sense of this like large swath of nothingness with parking lots and dim lighting. In a way, to have something like Aramingo Ave, nearby is a great benefit. But also, if you want to bring certain things back to inside the community, it's going to be difficult with price competition of larger chains. And one of our nearest competitors is the Starbucks and the kiosk at Target. It's our nearest coffee shop. So in a way, I'm up against Target and Starbucks. Oat milk latte for here.
First knew about it because I actually moved right next door. It was my first place on my own in Philly, and Riverwort just sort of became like a second home.
I started off just coming here to get work done, and I work in coffee as well, so I'd ask them questions and they very willingly answer whatever question I had. Yeah.
And we actually met here.
Yeah.
Just funny.
I like to keep it simple, so it's either just like a cup of the drip or the espresso, which Joe constantly checks for quality and like to make sure it's tasting okay, and that's something I totally respect.
It's a very open environment. There's no signage telling people where they need to be, and just navigate the cafe on your own. It's here for the community. People that do come and talk to me are super happy and thankful and grateful that I care about the community, and people see me here, giving it 110%. I'm pleased to just see the people that come here the most are ones that were waiting for something like this. There's people, having their first dates here. There's all sorts of little things I get to observe from behind the counter. I've always been obsessed with finding a good milkshake in the city of Philadelphia. I realized that I could buy relatively small minimums from Bassett's Ice Cream. Their vanilla ice cream is one of the best ice creams that money can buy in the city of Philadelphia. So I bought a commercial milkshake machine, and I think it was the first milkshake that I made with a shot of espresso in it, where I just was like, yep, we're doing this from now on. So somebody next door at Marinucci's Deli just ordered a latte milkshake, so we're gonna go walk it over to them. Really great to see like new businesses coming to the neighborhood and stuff like that. I love that Marinucci's is right next door. Somebody order a milkshake latte?
Me?
There we go.
Thank you.
There you go. I bring it to you.
I bought my house and I moved back into the neighborhood like 3 years ago at this point. So right around the time that they opened. I was born and raised in the neighborhood, so it's kind of nice to come back 3 years ago and see everything kind of changing, and especially seeing a ton of resurgence happening on Richmond Street. It's really needed. People
ask me how things are, how are things going now that there's construction outside on Richmond Street. I knew there'd be road work coming. I went to all the meetings back then. I'm just looking ahead. I'm looking forward to what's next. I think we're going to see a lot of growth on Richmond Street. My commute to work is very short, and I love it that way. I wouldn't have it any other way. I also get to kind of see, what my customers are experiencing. I mean, I'm part of the same online message boards and things like that kind of show what it's like for a Port Richmond resident, and I also get to give that perspective of a Port Richmond business owner. Recently, very close to the cafe, we've seen new businesses open. Marinucci's Deli and the cafe is here and thriving, and we have a new bar coming sometime in the next 4 to 5 months. There's definitely things that are demanding of me, and it's all with great reward that I have something that I actually created that's benefiting more than a few people. It's a really big thing, and one that I don't take lightly. I'm extremely happy to be able to do it, and one that I don't take for granted at all.